So before we start with your presentation, Sofia, let me introduce both of you. So Sofia, you are a student right now at City University in London, studying media, communication and sociology. You were born with a leg disability, and 5 years ago, you discovered one of your passions in life, which is athleticism. Thanks to what you are, you participated to your first Olympics in Tokyo this year. Of course, you will accompany us and make you accompany you in this incredible trip and journey you are currently starting. Jacques, actually, you are a kidney transplant recipient for the last 14 years. You are a fully accomplished sportsman in the air and on the sea. And you have a famous motto in life, which is, later is always too late, and let's do things now. So please, let's hear now you, Sofia, magnifying your battle for life or your life battle. Thank you.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. I would just like to say that everyone here that talked was really inspiring. And thank you for inviting me. It's an honor. So I'm just going to tell my little story here. It's kind of crazy for me to tell my story today. So my name is Sofia Gonzalez. I'm 21 years old. I'm a Swiss Paralympic athlete and a university student. And 5 years ago, I learned to run. So it's kind of crazy. Usually, like, I think everyone here learned to run when they were a baby, right? And for me, it was only 5 years ago. I was born with a right deformation of my right leg. And at 3 years old, we amputated my right leg. But for me, I was like born like that. It didn't mean for me to have something that could stop me. So yeah, and last year I was qualified for the Tokyo Paralympics, and I did 2 finals, and I arrived in the top 7 of the world that day in Tokyo. So that was kind of a thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, that was one of my biggest achievements. I also won last year the European Championships in the 100 meter, a bronze medal in the 100 meters. So that was also a really big achievement for me. It was my first medal and not the last, I hope. So yeah, and I'm also now going to road to Paris 2024 for the next Paralympics, and hopefully much more, Los Angeles 2028, and maybe the next ones also. So that will maybe be something that I will achieve in the future. Unfortunately, my prosthetic leg, as you can see on the picture here, is a prosthetic leg. It's 15,000 francs. And unfortunately, the disability insurance does not cover it. So for me, personal fulfillment is really important because it's something that you have to believe in yourself. And my first sponsors were my parents. They're here today. So they sponsored me with another association. It was called Plushboard. And without that, I would have not been able to run. So 5 years ago, you imagine a kid, I was like 14 years old. I was like, what am I going to do? And it was the first time that I could ever run. Imagine, you didn't run for 14 years. And it was for me, everyone asked me, what is it like? And for me, the emotion and the word I would describe is flying. Flying and being free. So yeah, that was the emotion I could receive at that moment.
Thank you. And may I ask you maybe what is the biggest challenge that you have been, struggling for the last 5 years, becoming an athlete? What was really new and challenging for you?
So for me, it happened really fast. It's only been 5 years that I'm an athlete and I'm training, I'm competing internationally, competing locally in Switzerland also. I think the biggest challenge I had was to overcome all the obstacles with obviously sponsorship, but also believing in yourself, because the Paralympic world is really hard. Unfortunately, I don't live from my sport. It's something that I would dream of. And so as an Olympian, you already have so many challenges if you live as an athlete, because you have to pay all your training camps, all your maybe sports clothes. But for us Paralympic athletes, we train maybe more, I can say, because we have to have all those equipments. I mean, not only for me, also for wheelchairs users. I don't know if you ever saw that, but that is also a huge amount of money and a huge amount of adapting. I would say the Paralympic athletes are really adapting in that world.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jacques?
Very inspiring. That's the reason. Thanks for the invitation. And really, when I heard the story of Sofia, she decided when she was 14 to run. And I am 14 years old today because someone saved my life 14 years ago. So that's the reason why we challenged together. Perhaps she has a question for me. I don't see the question before, so I don't know what you want to ask me.
Yeah, so I want to ask you, what is the biggest risk in sailing? Because I know you sail a lot.
There is quite a lot. The only risk is not to reach the other side of the Atlantic. But now there is no risk. The most risky sport is living. There is 100% of die at the end. So now I'm just appreciate since 14 years now every second of my new life. So it's only pleasure, only fun, and only the way to say thanks to the people who saved my life.
Could you maybe tell us more about the kind of races you did, Jacques, and the conditions in which you did?
Yeah, so I had the chance to... so in 2007, I was crossing the Atlantic solo from France to Brazil. And I discovered that I have this kidney illness, so I had to be repatriated in Switzerland urgently. And I got a phone call one day from a friend who said, I'm a universal donor, and if it works, I give you a kidney. So since that day, I race again, and I participate to the Route du Rhum in 2018, and I reached the Guadeloupe, and that was really the biggest...
But I heard that you did this first you did it a little bit like a pirate, if I may say, because you were not really officially part of it, no?
Yeah. So in 2014, I didn't have the budget. We'll talk about budget later for Sofia, but the budget. So I decided to say like as a pirate. So I took the start of the Route du Rhum in 2014. I reached Guadeloupe, Pointe-à-Pitre. And the people, it was so fun. So they knew there was a Swiss guy alone in the Atlantic, and that was quite fun.
And I have maybe, before we jump to the public question, I have one question. Do you think, because you're different, because you have this difference, you're stronger than, let's say, people without difference?
I don't know. I have a quote that I say a lot. It's my difference is my attitude. So for me, I think difference is not something bad. We're all different at the end of the day. I think that society showed before, and even today we're trying, that we all have to be the same. We all have to be pretty. We all have to be a certain standard. And I think my difference makes me stronger in a way that I made it into my strength. It's what today I'm known about. It's my sport. Every time I put my blade on, so it's this prosthetic blade, it's like I'm a warrior on that track.
Okay. And you, Jacques?
I think I'm a better man now. So when I was in the business, I was working with banks and digital transformation, and I spent a lot of time of working. And there was, when people were sick, I said, come on, just don't listen to you, and go. And after this accident, I thought, I'm just a better man because I listened to myself, and I also more listening to the other. And yeah, it's a new life, it's a new Jack, and it's cool.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. So maybe let's, first, thank you. Congratulations. And questions from the public would be, so to both of you, a big question first. What would be your main advice or your main message, actually, to help us, all of us, to become more inclusive toward difference? If ever you feel that we are not.
I think just continue what we do. So I'm always sailing against normal people. I went to the world in catamaran and I race against normal one. So that's the message. I'm not different. I just have a present which is not mine in my body.
Gift.
But
for me, I think inclusivity is really important today also, not only for disability people, because I do speeches in schools or with big companies, and every time I try to say I'm trying to encourage them, not because I'm different, to see people differently. We're all the same. And even though you may, I don't know, experience something in life that's difficult, we all have obstacles in life. I may have ones that's a little bit bigger, but that doesn't mean that everyone must not overcome their own obstacles. What I also I'm trying to build a project that is being able to pay blades and wheelchairs to do sports for kids. Because unfortunately, I wasn't able to get one in school. And in Germany or in France, the disability insurance covers it. And if people or kids can't be able to have those equipments, they will never be able to do sports. And I think sports is a really big subject to have inclusivity all around the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So maybe linked to this question, what kind of future do you envision, actually, linked to maybe to some projects? How do you see a future?
For me, it's that project I'm trying to build. I talk with the government to try to change, because those are laws, unfortunately, that are by the Swiss government, because it's too expensive. Sports for a disability person is a luxury. Sorry for the word again, but it's a luxury for us. So I think for the future, that's what I'm trying to create, is for the kids, because as we mentioned before, I think each of our speech are linked, is education. That's where sports in schools, we can have kids with disability have those equipments. They will be more accepted and be maybe not judged and viewed differently, and more as superheroes and not as disability kids.
Thank you. And last question for both of you. Do you think people with no difference could be as strong as you? Jacques, maybe?
Definitely yes. Yeah, no, there is no difference when you are on a starting line or when you are. I know there is no difference. This is different because it's a physical difference.
Yeah.
But I think no, it's just a question of meaning. Just be strong, and it's not important to fall 4 times. It's important to get up 5.
And to what extent, or what do you think? Why do you think difference scares? It's a philosophical question.
Because we don't see it. We're not used to it. Like here in a room, I'm different, and we're not used to see it. And I'm the only one here. So it scares people because it's unknown. It's something that we don't know, maybe. And that's where also education is really important, because we can educate kids in schools where, for example, I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked to my peers, but I probably educated some of them in my school, because I went to a total public normal school. And for them, of course, at the beginning, they asked questions. But at the end, they considered me as totally like them. Like, there is no difference. I think the word difference really scares people, because at the end of the day, as I mentioned before, we're all different. There is no one as same as the other. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Can I just have
sure,
just
Jacques,
10 seconds?
Go ahead. Yes.
I have just 10 seconds. This is, people who try to do things, they just inspire. And this young lady just inspired me. And really, I would dream to see her in Paris with a big and good sponsor that she can train like she deserves.
Definitely. We'll look at you in Paris.